Welcome back to Moon to Moon. This is a dark moon download for the lunar cycle that began at the beginning of Virgo, right at the beginning. And I'm recording this under the Leo moon as it wanes towards the new moon, which will also be an eclipse at the very end of Virgo coming this Sunday. Let me tell you a little bit about dark moon downloads in case you're new to this. So the dark moon is a way to talk about the very end of a lunar cycle. So if you think about the new moon, it is quite dark still at a new moon. And we don't see the sliver of the moon until a couple days after the technical new moon, where the moon and the sun are at the exact same degree of a sign together in the sky. And we don't see the moon in that time period. And so then there's this waxing period after the waxing crescent, where the moon is moving through the signs of the zodiac every 2.5 days, changing signs and saying hello to the whole sky, saying hello to all the planets and stars. And in this way, in an entire lunar cycle, the moon sees all the perspectives and is a kind of filter for communication from Sky Family that is also here. And as the moon relates to Soma and the body, so the moon's presence, which affects our bodies, our waters, communicates the things that we're learning as it travels in relationship to the cosmos. And we have the full moon in the middle of the cycle, when the moon is in the opposite sign and the polar sign from where the sun is, which is sometimes the same sign where we had our new moon, but sometimes it's a different sign by the time it gets to the full moon. And then it rounds towards waning third quarter moon. And then the last few days there, I like to call the dark moon. It's not like I made it up, but for those of you who are more new to this, as I once was not that long ago, 8 years ago now, I suppose, the dark moon then is about the time when the moon is completing that whole cycle round. And we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot of things in the lunar cycle. We've experienced many things. We've had encounters. We've had encounters with life on many levels, on physical levels, on emotional levels, on mental levels, on spiritual levels, on many planes. Our experience has had contact, encounters, often in unexpected ways, unforeseen ways with life. And we engaged with life, sometimes by responding back, sometimes by listening, waiting, sometimes resting, sometimes actively dancing in very like forward moving ways with what's going on in a given cycle, which is always different. And it's going to feel different for every body of us, including our the animals in our lives and the birds around our homes. So I started to do dark moon downloads about a year into putting Moon to Moon out. So I think I started doing them around spring of 2021. I believe the first one may have been the Emergent No, which I referenced in the Vulture Magic episode that came out, I think, 2 episodes ago, where I was recounting that particular period of time. And the idea is that at that time, we can feel like we're receiving many insights, language that helps us to articulate what was happening when we were going through the experiences of the cycle. Because often when we're in it, like, it's difficult. Like, how do you even talk about it? You're in it. You can't even see it. You're like, the view is too limited to even begin to package it. but at the dark moon, you're like, aha, what it is blah, 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 and then that comes out. And for me, that feels really good. And that is a time when I really enjoy sharing. So when I have capacity and desire, I put out dark moon downloads every maybe 3 lunar cycles at a dark moon. Not in any kind of orderly way. It's always, I either feel like it or I don't feel like it. So I clearly feel like it today. Okay, so that's like the framework. I am gonna begin at the beginning. So one thing about Dark Moon Downloads is there's a lot of personal here that comes through. Part of this is this has a lot to do with the fact that I feel that the personal is the collective and the collective is personal, and that through personal sharing, something really, really powerful can happen. And so I share these personal anecdotes and these intimacies because it pleases me to do so, and also in the wondering whether it will resonate with you too. So for me, this lunar cycle began the morning that I was taking my daughter to her dorm for her first year of college. So it was like, hey, literal. Like, that's cute. The day she's assigned is her move-in day, is the day of the new moon. So and she and I drove up in the dark moon of last cycle to Boston from where we live in North Texas in Dallas. And that was a really beautiful and healing trip. We would have these beautiful laughs and song and fun talks, and then we would have these flares. And some of these flares were, I mean, all of them were really meaningful. It was like each one, it was like one a day. It was a 3-day trip. They allowed us to come into contact with an area where repair was needed. So it was just really, really powerful that we were able to wrap up some things. And she was able to receive me owning things and taking responsibility for some things and sincerely apologizing for some things that I didn't know she was over there holding. And I hadn't thought about it from her perspective. And I just am so proud that I have this child who's not afraid to bring these things to me and make me uncomfortable so that I can look at it, and then we come into deeper intimacy through those experiences. And so then we were able to like move a lot of material but in our relationship in that drive. And then so that morning we were in Boston of the new moon, and her dad flew up, and we got her set up in this tiny little room on the fourth floor with no air conditioning. Like, how is she going to share this room with another person? Oh my gosh. Um, Good luck. You're going to learn things. Yeah. So, I thought it was going to be more emotional, but I cried the hardest when she was a junior. As junior year was ending, I was crying like all the time. Like anything could make me cry. Um, it just felt like that was the end. Because it was like the last kind of normal year. Because yeah, senior year was completely different. As they were just hustling with applications, and as a theater person, she also had to do auditions, and everything's so audition based that just a lot of pressure. We got through it. She's in a place she wants to be, and she's so excited. So, yeah. And then I left, and that was complete. So, it was like a long way home. And on the way home, I went to visit my brother. So it had a kind of like literary quality. Um, now I have another stop, and this stop is like bringing me stuff. My brother lives outside of Athens, Ohio, and this gorgeous property that's all woods. There's like a creek and waterfalls on his property. It's like this old, it kind of has this like California mountains quality home designed by artists, and he and his boyfriend live there and create art, and it's just so beautiful the way he set up his life. I used to always love visiting him in LA for 2 decades, and he left his LA life for this very different wooded world. And it's so cool. I mean, he is a fucking witch in the woods. Like, that is his life right now. Like, the real deal witch in the woods. And yeah, we've we've just had a hard time as a family for a while, and we've been in this difficult phase that families can go through when different members are like healing. Yeah, yeah, you resonate. And like everybody's healing differently, and like some people aren't at all. And everybody's sort of like, how am I going to be in this family? Knowing what I now know and being who I am now and what I won't do anymore. And so I mean, we were always like two peas. But we really haven't been close since my divorce. I've just been really needing my own space, and he's been on his journeys. And it, yeah, it was just such an important stop. Um, like, yeah, I didn't dare to dream of like such a new life beginning again, like I really could, we were doing it. Like we were having hard conversations and then naming what we want, but not in this enmeshed way, not in a codependent way, seeing realities clearly around family dynamics, and just like deeply loving and supporting each other and wanting to be close. So, whew, I mean, uh, it's just like I couldn't dare to imagine that, and it happened. So that was a wild experience, especially because I've been in some deep, deep family style spirals this summer, um, of holding inner children and inner young adults who like either were holding out for different outcomes with family members or didn't believe that we had the option to stand up for ourselves with certain family members, or who think it's their job to like plan arguments while I'm taking a shower and like get my all my defenses ready for any kind of argument that could possibly happen, and just like spend my whole day having imaginary arguments. Like bringing all of these people in, people being my inner selves, my different parts, bringing everyone back in, just like, all right, everyone, y'all all need me to see you. So that's what we're doing this summer. Like this summer, everybody who doesn't realize that I'm here for them, I'm here. And this is where my attention is right now because yeah, there was some pain this summer, and we did some time together, me and my parts. And those things take time, as y'all know. Um, I live what I teach, so like my moon to moon course, I was like doing the moon to moon course with me and myself, taking some fucking space for myself, which is module 1 in moon to moon the class. Um yeah, so it's just a wild thing when you like get everybody looking inside, right? So what I mean by that is a lot of the times when we like are looking away at other people to have imaginary arguments, or we're like looking at other people to feel safe, we're looking at other people to manage how they're thinking about us. A lot of that is, though, these are parts that are trying to manage our environment and manage the world so that we can feel safe. And so, like, bringing all of them to turn around and, like, look at me, look at me. I'm here. I've got you. I'm not going to let those things happen to you. I'm not going to tell you that you've got to suffer through that. I'm not going to disappear. I'm not I'm not letting you get in that argument actually. Like you don't need to prepare this argument because I'm not going to let you be in that argument. Okay? Look at me. Um then being able to like go and be with my brother in this way that was like so heart opening. Um and yet like so sovereign, like we're not enmeshed. We successfully extricated ourselves from enmeshed family dynamics, sought what we needed to seek for ourselves to build ourselves up from the inside, found environments and partnerships that support that, created new habits and ways of being that embody that. And now we came back together, brother and sister. Like, tell me who you are now. Let's be close. I love you. It's so fucking powerful, y'all. Um, yeah, I pulled some cards before this episode, and the card I pulled, I said, tell me what the heart of it is. And I pulled Princess of Cups, which is kind of like Page of Cups. And I said, ah, yes, a return to love. And then I was like, tell me one more, please. And I pulled Two of Cups, which the Thoth deck calls love. I was like, okay, it's a return to love. We're going to need that as we keep going here. So, yeah, I came back to Dallas, I came back like, okay, here we go. My other one is in high school. She's sweet 16, sophomore, living the dream. And she's got her life here. It's time to give her my presents. And I'm also creating behind the scenes a brand new world, a brand new thing that I'll be telling y'all about over time. Announcement coming October 9th. I've been just dedicating myself, devoting myself to these things that I really care about. I have my witch sister clients who are also nurturing their craft, nurturing their community, tending to their devotions with reverence, holding all the things that we hold as humans, living in cycles as we do as humans. And I'm enjoying feeling my gifts, being there in support of my clients. I have been attended a sale. Some of y'all may have purchased from the sale. That was such a sweet deal. $8,000 came in. I really appreciate that because it's helping me while I'm over here nurturing the big thing. So thank you. It was so sweet to be able to bring out some old things and share some now composted things, and then discount some current things so that I can share my work. I've been building up this whole body of work over the last 7.5 years, and I've created some spectacular containers. So that was really sweet to be with that. I'm nurturing Emergence Astrology Year 1. As you may know, they're in the Hermitage right now. Hello, Hermitage Year 1 students. I've been nurturing Year 2. So in Year 2, I meet with the students once a month, once the sign season, and then they meet with Jonathan Coe once a month, and they meet with Mariola Rosario once a month. And then I do a Q&A at the end of that sign season. These are rich, potent explorations. And then, yeah, I guess those are I have some other things I also can't speak to yet, but there's a lot of like behind the scenes that's been going on, which is really perfect since the 12th house, it's like very 12th house, 6th house, which is where I have Virgo and Pisces. So, I've been doing the work, the Virgo work, and I've been doing a lot of the Pisces work because I'm seeing this with myself and with my friends and with my clients and my mentees of an Underdog to Diva. I've been holding Underdog to Diva. I'm seeing like so many themes that have to do with the North Node and Pisces, where tending and being devoted and showing up is just looking differently right now. Like it's really energetic. It's so much about frequency. It's so much about attunement, so much more than normal. And in many ways, this is amazing for me as a very Pisces person. But like everyone, I've been raised in a culture of, to-do lists and, setting goals and execution and deadlines. And there are many things I actually do love about that and are grateful for about that. I love deadlines. Once I have released them from everything that is harmful about them for my system and just see them as like loving birthdays for when things will be ready and come into form, I began to really I just love deadlines so much. However, I'm feeling like such a slowness around a lot of execution. Um, there is just a real, like, you could say soup, but that sort of suggests gunk. It doesn't feel like meaningless to me. It's soupy in the sense of like not fully into hard delineated form, but it's got all of the richness of the nourishment and the sense of like powerful, um, powerful frequency that one can be connected to. And I feel like this is really important because I actually do teach in Mystics Making Money and talk about all the time how I feel that if you're somebody who markets, promotes your offers, the more you are in tune with the frequency of your offer, then just starting to talk about it, the frequency is communicated. And the frequency itself is what is bringing someone to a yes. Obviously, having great copy is awesome, but but to me, it's the frequency is in the copy. It's like it vibrates through the copy. So it's not like I love great copy, but it's the frequency of the copy that makes it powerful, which is why like a lot of it's like really obvious when something is AI copy because it has the frequency of AI. So like even though the copy itself is like very poetic and evocative and you're like, I really like the way words was used, but you know, that's AI copy. I mean, you can just tell. It's not judgmental, but it's just true that we humans are the ones we sense as sensate beings. We like pick up on the frequency and we send the vibrations through however we're promoting, even like the fucking Canva tile. Like a Canva tile can have a very clear frequency. I'm telling you. And you just infuse the Canva tile with the frequency you want it to have, and it will be delivered. I have found it to be true. So now is a really great time to be practicing these things because like this Pisces frequency is really like kind of making you go there is what it feels like it's quote unquote doing to the people that I talk to. But just be aware that you may feel like there's a problem here. You may feel because of the programming that like I should be doing more. I'm not getting enough checked off my list. I must just be like abandoning my stewardship. But you're probably not. You're probably being drawn into more of a listening state, like a sound bath state with your imagination. And your imagination is like building this music out, like building the vibe out. And that's important. That's what makes one container different than another, even though they're both quote unquote about the same things, is the frequency is completely different. And honestly, that's so much of what we're investing in when we invest in somebody's experiential container is we're investing in a vibe. How do you know you can trust that? That's part of building your intuition is like, I'm just trusting the vibe that's here. Okay. Where was I? Speaking of Pisces, we got to the full moon. Now, I will tell you, so this was an eclipse. You know this. It was an eclipse in Pisces, right by my sun. It was a degree and a half from my sun. And uh, it was a Sunday, so I had a long run. I ran I think I ran 20 miles that day for my long run because I'm almost to my marathon. And it was one of those amazing runs where I just felt really in tune with the run itself. It was we had like a cool period here in Texas, which just constantly underlines for me like how important the conditions are to feeling strong. Like, make it metaphysical. Like, when the conditions of your life shift to be more supportive, you will be amazed what all you can do, you know? Um, Running, if we have a cooler day or a hotter day, it like has massive consequences on how quote unquote successful my run is. So anyway, it was a cooler day and it was a great run. And I got to like mile 16. It was just like one of those things where like the breeze hit my face and like I'm seeing like birds flying and I am just like full blown weeping while I'm running, just feeling like, whoa, like the opening of the currents of my heart and sensing like the presence of ancestors and guides and just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm over here 47 years old, just giving myself the space with my body, setting these crazy goals that I find pleasurable. I admit it. Um, yeah. And I was like, this eclipse is pretty great. But, the thing is with eclipses, they come in twos, sometimes threes, and it's the whole belly. It's not just the day. It's not just the day. So, yeah, we've been in the belly. We've been in the belly. We've been in a belly. So, I have a lot to say about what I've been observing, learning, sensing, feeling in the week since the murder of Charlie Kirk, who I had never heard of, y'all, until that day. So if you don't want to hear what I want to, what I've been feeling and want to share here in a dark moon download way, obviously feel free to tune out now because you may be at capacity and that is legit important to listen to. But this is where I want to share some things. And I'm going to save some of the things I'm going to share for Crystal Ballers. Y'all know I have another podcast called Crystal Ballers with Natasha Levenger, and we're meeting later today, and we have things to talk about. So I don't want to spill all the beans here, but yeah. Let me just say that I have some like bullet point thoughts. And then I have some things I want to make, some points I would like to offer you about supporting yourself right now, because that's my larger concern, which of course take it or leave it. Um and and that really will bring us to where we are, and we still have another eclipse. So things are rapidly changing in the days ahead, I'm sure. But this is from my journaling. I just bullet pointed in no particular order some thoughts. You know, one of the things that has been really available to see, especially like I feel like I get primary evidence of this in Instagram and like my news app. And then I'll go to TikTok and I feel like my algorithm there is so great. I get just like really wise takes. And I feel like I get so much wisdom in TikTok, but I'm getting like the primary source data of what I'm observing more from Instagram and the news app, which I'm now putting some big limits around for myself so that I can protect my system from being overactivated, so that I could show up to the work that I care about, returning to love. So one thing I've noticed is just like, wow, when you live your life the way I've set my life up now, I'm sure so many of you listening to this will resonate, where everyone that you're in contact with is like actively learning about trauma, about self healing, about the complexities of racialized trauma and oppressive systems and coloniality on the nervous system, on our perspectives, on our limiting beliefs, on our protector parts. Like it's very, very complex. And there's so many nuances. There's so many nuances because every human being is different and coming from a different positionality. And so there's so many perspectives to consider and voices that like you want to take in, and you want to hear about the perspectives of people who have different bodies than you and come from different places than you, because you understand that there's like a vast complex of ways to understand a moment in history through the experiences of all these different kinds of human bodies. And in that listening, in that attunement to difference, you're appreciating nuances, and how listening for nuance attunes you to the complexities. And this actually feels good and it feels alive, and like how diversity feels so alive. And that's what makes diversity something to fight for and something to stand for. It makes your life so much more expansive. And so when you surround yourself with so many people that are living this, they're dedicated. My students, my communities, my colleagues, my boyfriend, my daughters, like we openly embrace the nuance, complexity, paradox, intersectionality. Like the rhetoric, what are people saying under the rhetoric? That's where the real information is. What's the subtext? Wanting to like really get to the heart of things. It's just when you like really get hit with like, wow, there's a lot of people that don't live that way. I mean, obviously we know this. I know this. But in like a week, like we've just had like the lack of nuance, capacity for nuance is now so destructive. It's like ruining people's lives right now. That like this inability to hold that just because you are not willing to condone someone's racist speech, that doesn't mean you're celebrating their murder. Like, what? The leaps, the leaps rhetorically. You know, I, I studied rhetoric in my undergrad. And then I basically studied rhetoric through in art. I was like interested in rhetoric in art history, is like how visual images are used in service to power. How the visual arts are co-opted to support somebody's agenda. And if part of how this happens is because symbol is an open system and like art is more open. Now, this is a fascinating thing because astrology and like what I love about art and astrology is that they're open. That astrology is a symbolic language, symbol. Symbol is open to interpretation, which means that meanings are multi and there's no way to capture them and to like put them in a box. They're not closed, they're open. There's always another door, always another door, always another door. It's just endlessly complex and fascinating. You're like, yay! What symbol can give us for like a liberatory principle that is constantly opening doors, lifting ceilings. It feels like the limitlessness that the imagination can give us. And symbol is used by fascists, it's used by tyrants because symbol is open, all you have to do is attach it to another symbol and like prove even like the most basic link possible. So like Charlie Kirk's murder means this, relating it to something else, like relating it to Trump getting shot in the ear. Now we have a link that says like there are many attacks and then linking it to another thing, like linking it to other types of assassinations. Um, Whenever there's a link, it can serve what the other agenda is, which is to be like the call for war, the basis for um, now asking universities to give, names of professors who posted about Charlie Kirk or whatever. Like symbol, when something becomes symbol, an event becomes a symbol. Charlie Kirk's death was an event that then became a symbol. And it became a symbol now for we're at war. And it's just like, oh my God, y'all are the ones using the word war. But again, why am I arguing? That's the same me that's in the shower, like arguing with people I know that maybe have voted for Trump, haven't talked to them in years. It's the same thing as me in the shower having pretend arguments with certain family members earlier this summer. It's the same part of me that's like, if I could just if I could just prepare my paper, if I could just submit my thesis to you, you will understand like the logic of what I'm saying. But this is why I like to say if someone wants to understand you, they will. If they don't want to understand you, they won't. Um, it does soothe me that like because of the periods of study I've done in history on this, that I'm like, remember that this is not new. And it's really not that special. I mean, historically, we humans do this, at least in modern history. In modern history with modern government and modern economic systems, which is the age of colonialism. So, yeah, This is what I want to say, like, because these dynamics are very similar to narcissism, where you can find yourself questioning yourself, like, maybe I'm crazy because it couldn't be true that all y'all are crazy. Surely I could figure out what I could be responsible for here so that this will make more sense to me. Huh. And it's like, y'all, you are not a bad person for refusing to condone the way that this person lived. It, you know that it doesn't mean that you support murder. Like, hello, we're anti-gun over here. Like, what? Not listening though. They're not listening. I'm saying I don't normally like sides, I'm a Pisces. And I do always want to give people the right to change. And I want to trust that change is always possible. Change is always possible for all kinds of people. Anyone that we could be pointing to, I am wishing for them to find empowering change. I am wishing for them to have experiences that allow them to feel more comfortable with nuance and with complexity and with support and holding the high sensation that like maybe what I was supporting was wrong actually. And find unshaming. That would be amazing. That just increases your capacity for all of it. Always holding out hope, but like with where we are in this moment, we can identify some people that we can say as a they. It's like, number one consequence of narcissistic abuse is feeling confused, because you're confused because like, how could it be like this though? I don't understand how it could be like this. It's like, if you're confused, oh, how we could have this hysteria over this racist, misogynist podcaster's death, where now people's freedom of speech is censored. Yeah, that is confusing. And like many things that I've found from healing from narcissistic abuse is that the alchemy is when I allow myself to feel grief and rage, and moving through like, I'm no longer confused. I'm enraged. And I'm no longer confused, but my heart is in pain because I want to return to love. Okay, that's the theme. I will tell you that that is a maturation. Like for me, moving from the confusion of like, how could it be like this, through the alchemy of grief and rage, which is scary to hold, but feeling more means feeling more. And we're learning to do this. On the other side of that is some fucking maturity, where like we age into this much more like powerful self. So I found for myself. And no, I'm cheerleading for you to change, but for right now, you are not going to get the energy of me arguing with you in the shower. Yeah, that's a maturation process. I would say if you are feeling really overwhelmed, like, you've got the signals, like you are not a bad person if you turn it off for a bit. Like, it is so important that we come back to our regulated bodies. Like I like to think to myself, how am I showing up today in my regulated body? Like, how am I bringing my service? How am I bringing my creativity? How am I bringing love with my regulated body? My regulated body did not get regulated because I like transcended the pain. I bypassed it. I moved through it, but I also need space for that. Right. And so, like, I spent a lot of time online last week because I wanted to get informed because I didn't know who the hell Charlie Kirk was. I didn't know what groypers are. Like, I didn't, what? Like, there's some things I got to learn here. So I've been just over here, like, student Britain, just like learning, listening to lots of different voices, lots of different people talking, lots of people sharing their points of view. None of those people get to be the experts for me, though, ultimately, because that needs to be me coming into my own voice. And I'm never going to hear my own voice if I don't take some fucking space for myself. So I've been now having to be pretty strict with limits because you know how it can get automated with social media. You know, you can just kind of get into an automated state with like going back to it. And so I've been really encouraging myself to pivot to different habits for the time being. And that's really helping my body and my sleep and just in general, my capacity to return to love, the theme. The card that came through as like what will fortify us, I got the 9 of Wands, which is different in the Thoth deck. It's called Strength. And it's associated with Moon and Sagittarius, this card. And it shows this large wand. And at the bottom is a moon, and at the top is a sun. And to me, what it feels like is like the moon being like a deep part of us in our bodies that we can connect to. And through like listening to ourselves, attuning to ourselves, giving ourselves a right to be people with feelings and people with needs and people who are angry and people who are outraged and people who've had enough and all the different things go there. That through that alchemy, we can let something come through us to shine out into the world. And then that is strength. And that shining light comes from being a person who's able to hold the nuances of all of your different feelings from these different ages of yourself, as well as being able to hold different people's voices all around you who are sharing their thoughts, their realities, their perspectives. You, though, being the only one who can know how you want to move forward from this moment. If you're feeling scared to speak, share about your offerings, interact with people, participate in the world, I wanted to honor that that's like a very, very legit feeling. There's actual evidence of people being censored. And, you know, we don't live in a culture that values our feelings. We're expected to go back to work. And people say, how are you feeling? Like, how sure are you that they really want to know how you feel? Like we have to know who are we really relating to here. And this is why community is such a powerful thing. Having someone you can go to be like, tell me that I'm not crazy. Tell me that I'm not a bad person. Tell me that this is fucked up, right? Like, whoa. So really, you know, I'm remembering as a white woman that like I don't even know what it's like to speak up from a different body, you know? And sometimes I wonder if my fear, like just I fortify myself with remembering to like just talk, just speak the truth, protect with my white body, like what can I say with my white regulated body? How can I show up in this body today? My listening body, my open body, my truth speaking body. And if you're having fantasy arguments with people that you know or don't know, I see you. I mean, there's probably a self soothing property that you want to hold on to right now. And that's amazing. But at some point for me, I have to lay it down. And that's when I really do some parts work, inner child healing with that moon part of me and bring her around just like, love, what you doing? Are you telling him? Um, my hunch is that if you ritualize that, it will feel way more powerful, and then like you can close that up. So like set a time and a place, and like really let quote unquote them have it, and have all of your other side support, witness you, speak through you, support you as you really let it out, and then close it and notice how that might feel different than just kind of like running it constantly, because it's hard to be attuned to your imagination and to new ways of being and to just like the things that you're really passionate and excited to ferociously show up for when you're running that kind of talk. So like I said, and it's not to shame it. It's just that it does at some point, I think, become a block to what would feel actually a whole lot better in how to show up in this world. Um, Especially since, that part of you may not realize that those people aren't going to hear them. And so they're just like Sisyphus, like exhausted in this battle. And you can just have them turn to you and just like, hey, it's so upsetting, It's so upsetting. Why won't they listen? But they don't have the capacity to hear you. So yet. So just come with me. I hear you. I hear you. These are all wonderful points. You're logical to me. Um, and then like let's put this down and let's tune in to something else right now that we really are excited to bring through. That's going to feel so good. And we're going to get to be with and support and celebrate all these humans who can't wait to do this. And they totally get your logic. They have that logic too. But they may need some of the support of the things you want to create. So let's get to that. And that's my process. Welcome to my process here at the Dark Moon. So yeah, I think that at the end of the day, then I think a week like this shows that there aren't too many people out there um, teaching somatic healing, teaching like embodied forms of esoteric art. If you're thinking like, where's there room for my voice out there? Where's there room for my approaches out there? We need it. The world needs your gifts. The world needs your gifts. And guess what? Your gifts don't have to be your work. Your gifts are your presence. The world needs your gifts. And so, inviting you to remember that and to ground into what supports you as you turn towards the other side of this new moon in Virgo eclipse, or whenever you're listening, is still true. Just because some people can't hear you, that doesn't mean everybody's like that. It's just a true thing that there's a timing and a resonance to factor in with those that are meant for receiving your gifts, including the gift of your presence, and to just trust in the process of showing up authentically, emergently in that presence is going to magnetize those human beings. And it's going to feel so good. It's going to feel so good being together. It always does. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Reminder, if you've never left a rating or review, please do so. I think I'm at 99 now, so it'd be really fun to get to 100. Maybe that's you. Thank you. And I will see you at the next. Happy Dark Moon.